Hey everybody, it's Everett with Ohio for Freedom, the program that is focused for the foreseeable future on talking about things in the church that shouldn't be in the church, that will not be tolerated in the church, and one day we will get on the other side. And my counter, my meter is if you can hear me, I'm going to give you one of those. So it seems like we're all good. Friendly neighborhood always chimes in. Folks, we have so much ground to cover. I don't want to spend any extra time mealy mouthing around. I'm going to bring on my very special guest, Robyn Torgrimson of Mega Maniacs. Robyn, are you ready to fly? Are you ready to go?
I'm as ready as I'll ever be.
All right, we're going to take a poll, ladies and gentlemen, to kick off the program. And we want you to kind of weigh in. We can kind of go just the brief, abbreviated version and just try to get everybody tucked into bed like, an hour early, or we can just flat out go for it. So I'm going to watch the comments for just a moment, Robyn, as people weigh in. And if they want to want us to go for it, type go for it in. If you want the short, sedate version, you can do that. But I do want to say hi to Brother Jason, who's in the audience. And brother, if it works out with Robyn, it works out with me. We'll make it happen. Thursday is just not the best time. Other than that, it's wide open. That's inside baseball talk, y'all. Okay, Robyn, we're going to make one announcement here real quick. There is a podcaster event that is coming up on the 18th of October. And especially because of that, this was already in play, but I want to announce that if you would like to be part of podcast prayer support team efforts, I want to give you some dates and how you can contact us to be a part of that. I'll explain just a little bit. You can email ohioforfreedom@gmail.com. You will want to include a phone number. And the reason you want to include a phone number is a team member will get in touch with you, just have a conversation, just to kind of go over kind of what the format is. And also, yes, we will be vetting people that want to come on board because we want it to be a completely safe environment. And we're not going to open ourselves up to be we're not going to share time with trolls. Not too worried about that. But so if you would like to be a part of that, email and include a phone number. The times that you will want to make yourself available are Saturdays at 7 a.m. Eastern. Sorry, West Coast folks, but this is the way this one's going to roll. And it's about a 4-week, and I'm going to call it a commitment. It's not a covenantal commitment. If something happens and you can't be a part, nothing bad's going to happen. But we want people to understand that we're going to go through kind of a process for about 30 days. And the date, this will kick off on the 20th of October, or September rather, and last 4 consecutive weeks through October 11. And so you would want to allow an hour bright and early on Saturday morning at 7 a.m. and then allow about 10 minutes during the day, during the week for that. And Robyn, I think we've kind of twisted your arm that by the 20th, you're going to be part of that also. Am I pinning you down, or is that actually correct?
Yeah, that's what I actually just texted you and said I'm good for the 20th. It's just this Saturday, the 13th, I've got an early football game for my son. So
it's all good. It's all good. And this Saturday will be organizational. And so I think that we have and folks, we have a lot. My goodness, a lot to talk about. But Robyn, I wanted to do this. It's so very, very tragic and sad about the passing of Charlie Kirk. There's no way that I can personally do justice really addressing the tragic assassination of Charlie Kirk. But I do want to say this. I discovered him about 2016, and I was just totally blown away. I couldn't believe how sharp and articulate and how young Charlie was. And the, pardon me, the just not a moment's hesitation. It was just like he was born to just be Charlie Kirk, and he was. And I felt, Robyn, if we can take just a moment, this is probably the best way that I could pay tribute to Charlie Kirk. Here we go.
How do you want to be remembered? I mean, if I die, everything just goes away. How would you, if you could be associated with one thing, how would you want to be remembered?
I want to be remembered for
for courage for my faith. That would be the most important thing. The most important thing is my faith in my life.
How do you want to be remembered?
I mean, if I die, everything just goes away. How would you, if you could be associated with one thing, how would you want to be remembered? I want to be remembered for courage for my faith.
Robyn, I can't add anything to that.
Yeah. Tragic. But he's in a better place than we are, but absolutely senseless and tragic that something like that would happen.
Yeah. We prayed for his wife and family and supporters, and so just keep Charlie Kirk's family in your prayers, folks. And I just want you to understand, there's no way that I can do justice. I don't want to seem indifferent, and a lot of people are able to really weigh in on that. And so, Lord, thank you for Charlie Kirk, and thank you for the assurance that we have that he is with you, and he's in no pain. And we trust you, Lord, to take care of his wife and family. So it's a little bit difficult, Robyn, but I'm going to switch gears because we're going to talk about offshore bank accounts. We're going to talk about creepy youth pastors and goofy witchcraft offerings and other things. So we've got all that on the table, but I'm going to ask if you can just help me out just a little bit with my assignment. It's not my only assignment, but we've been talking about Solid Rock Church. And I know that you've interviewed some people from Solid Rock Church, but there's one clip that I didn't play last night. So if I can borrow you just for a minute, because I really need a woman's perspective on this. I'm going to play this and just ask you if you can help me put this in a place in my brain. Here we go.
It's too funny because I was telling these women, I said, now go to Victoria's Secret and get you something like you ain't never had on before. And then I said, if you don't have no money, I said, Kmart's always got thongs for $1.99. And so we was like in a 3-day conference, and this one woman, she came to me. She was kind of older, and she said, Sister Darlene, said, I went and bought me some of those thongs. And said, I walked out, and my husband looked at my feet, and he said, what are you doing coming to bed with thongs on? She said, it didn't do nothing for my husband. I said, honey, I wasn't talking about flip-flops. I was talking about something else. She thought, us older women called them, we had to change the name from thongs to flip-flops when those new ones.
Robyn, I don't have a place in my brain to put that. Help. What is that?
Well, I mean, some of it's just the theatrics of it all, in my opinion. But these leaders have seemed to be very comfortable interjecting themselves into every aspect of people's lives, even to the point of talking about over sexualized topics, making it seem okay and normal that they do it in these settings. But it's not just talking about underwear or buying things from Victoria's Secret. It's they go even deeper into what you should and shouldn't be doing in the bedroom and all these kinds of things. Okay. And I think Darlene specifically was probably already feeling the heat of her husband stepping out on her, and this was her answer for it, is to try to fix herself or do something to entice her husband, when the fact of the matter is, if somebody wants to behave immorally or step out on their marriage, they're going to do it regardless of you and how attractive you are and everything that you do or don't do at home.
Yeah. And if she's presenting that as this is women, this is what you have to do to have a happy marriage. Well, she didn't have a happy marriage. We played the audio. And one last thing, because I want to get off of this, that really creeped me out. But I don't know if age would make anything more acceptable or less acceptable, but I just did it on my phone. She would have been about 64 years old when she gave that presentation.
Yeah.
Any reaction? Does that have any relevance to anything?
Well, I mean, I think it's awkward and strange and off-putting regardless of your age. I mean, that's more of something that you would talk about in the privacy of your own home, or maybe even like at a bridal shower or something. Certainly not something that you're talking about in church or at a women's conference.
Yeah.
But I think, I think that Darlene and a lot of these ministers, or whatever you want to call them, they try to take their appeal however they can get it. And I think that probably the women there already knew her, already sort of looked up to her. And so they kind of laughed this kind of thing off, or, she's just so crazy that she would even say something like that. And they don't take it seriously or dive deeper into why she would feel it necessary to even talk about something like that.
Okay, so just to boil it down to redneck, and so we can move on. Basically, it's really nasty and disgusting, or as Pastor Ray would say, raggedy, and they just don't realize it. Is that a pretty good summary?
Absolutely.
Okay, all right. We have a breaking development on the Stephen Hoyle situation, and we've got so much to go through, but I thought we could start there, Robyn, and because there was something that happened today along that line that looks potentially like actually encouraging, but could we? And we can't get lost. I want to kind of move through this, but is it okay if I pull up the thread of the instant messages that you had to
Sure.
deal with and kind of talk through that? Okay, so let's do this. Here we go. And I can kind of pause this, stop and start it. So this is maybe, okay, so I have this queued up just in case there's somebody that doesn't know anything about what we're going to talk about next. Can you give a real quick introduction and then we'll go through that thread?
Introduction to what happened, you mean?
Yeah, if nobody has, when I say Stephen Hoyle and they have no idea what we're talking about, if you could talk to that person just for a minute.
Sure. So in December, the end of December of 2024, I received a communication from this gentleman who I guess I can't even call him that at this point, but this guy that happened to be a pastor, but he didn't introduce himself that way. I sort of had to look at his profile to see that he was a pastor. Okay. But he just,
I'm sorry, so sorry not to interrupt you, but see, that's important too. That's important too.
yeah.
Okay, never mind. That hadn't occurred to me. He's just a guy messaging you and not saying, "Hey, because people often do that." Anyway, go ahead. Sorry about that.
Yeah, he just said WHBC alum. So I knew that he had gone to World Harvest Bible College, but plenty of people go to that college and don't really do anything in ministry. So
Right.
we had, sporadic messages. He was always the one messaging me. I was never messaging him. So he would just send me sporadic messages over the month. So, a couple in December, a couple in January, a couple in February, and maybe March. But then I don't hear anything from him and I don't notice, right?
Yeah.
Until he sends another message. And when you interact as a podcaster, like you've said, we get information, emails, phone calls, direct messages, people just in the chat. And so you try to follow up with us or follow up with them as quickly as you can and kind of see what's the angle. Do they just want to talk? Do they have information? Do they want to be on the podcast? That sort of thing.
Right. Okay. Why don't we go ahead and I'll let some of this play, and then you just tell me, maybe narrate through, tell me what to start. We'll just do this on the fly. So there he goes.
So that was the first message, December 30th, WHC, HBC, go girl, you go girl. basically saying that he was glad I was speaking out against Rod Parsley and World Harvest. And then he says that it wasn't as much of an S show back in the day as it is now, and it's changed and he hates it. But that's funny because we have now found out that he was actually kicked out of the college for having an inappropriate relationship while he was there. So seems like this behavior's been going on for quite some time.
So wait, more information comes. So he was kicked out of the college. So he's talking about an S show when actually he was part of the S show then, in other words.
He sounds like he was part of the S show back in the 90s.
Yeah. And remember this exchange, because in what we're going to share in a little bit, this thing actually, that little S word use was actually, that'll come back up. Yep. And so this is December 30th.
Then, yeah. So I showed some, on my podcast, I showed some resignation letters and non-disclosure agreements. And he was sort of asking if it was people that I'm assuming, was familiar with the Brunsons.
Yeah. Okay. And then it kind of, then after a bit, it goes.
Oh, so it was January, then February.
Hey, just out of the
again. Go. Okay. You go ahead.
Well, no. It's kind of sporadic, like January 4th, and then just out of the blue. Don't tell me it was Elder. Okay, whatever. Yeah. And then what happens next? And you had nice things to say about Elder Bender, and then you also talked. Just for the people, can we quickly tell people who Elder Terry Kelly is?
So we know of at least a few young girls, but definitely one for sure, that Terry Kelly was molesting starting when she was only 13 years old. And the church ended up finding out about it. And because once the girl became an adult, she made them aware that it had happened. They didn't do anything about it. They continued to keep Terry Kelly on staff there. And we know that there were at least 2 other victims after that. And it could have been more.
It could have been more. And I'll just say, it just occurred to me, Robyn, it's 9/11 today. Haven't even thought about that. But actually, a year ago today, we did a full court press and let a whole lot of people know about that. The young lady that had been molested since she was 13 years old, and her as a very young adult bringing that to Parsley's attention. He completely ignored her, referred her to an attorney, and we let a lot of people know. I sent the screenshots. That the one that's coming to mind is Alan DiDio. And they didn't do anything. They just kind of looked the other way. But then you find out later that they're cult members. So any comments you have, but I'll go ahead and put it back in resume mode. So now we're getting into the pay dirt, aren't we?
Yeah. So then you see March that he sent a message, but then deleted it. Yeah. I don't know what he said. I didn't obviously care enough to ask. And then, so then Friday, which would have been September 5th, which again, we've said this, but I didn't notice the time. I just saw this message and I responded. I didn't recognize that he messaged me at 1:46 in the morning until one of the viewers pointed it out, actually.
Yeah. And thank you, Rebecca. And I believe it was Michelle. I don't know if I told you this, Robyn. About a day later, another viewer emailed that. They weren't aware that somebody else had noticed it. So ladies, notice that some guy that's sending messages that say, hey, you, at 1:46 a.m., that's creepa. That's creepa. Good segment the other night. And so now we're getting into I'll let you narrate what we're looking at here.
So He says, he just says question, and I had already been typing a response of when I think I've heard it all. Wayne had more, talking about Wayne Hasselou, that was a guest, and he had worked at World Harvest for 25 years in a very confidential type of position. And then Stephen asks, are you outing all preachers or just parsley? Your answer determines my next sentence. And so I said parsley, and that I had mentioned other grifters, but my focus was him because that's where my experience was, along with decades of other people's. But and that I also felt like that was what the Lord had called me to do, was to expose World Harvest and Rod Parsley. But I did say, I think they all have very similar characteristics, meaning all of these heretics and these ministers and pastors that we're exposing, I feel like they all operate very similarly in how they conduct themselves. And then he says, okay, good, don't out me. I think you're fire. And then I said, out you for what? Because I'm still really oblivious at this point that what he's saying. And then he said, telling you that I think you're smoking hot. And then, I didn't know what to say other than I was shocked that he would say that and actually put it in black and white. I was disgusted that he would talk to me that way. And so the response was the two emojis, and then he says, uh-oh, don't put me on your next podcast.
Yeah.
And as you can see, I never responded again. And the response was me screenshotting and recording the string of messages because I was concerned that he was going to go in and try to delete. And so I posted it on my Facebook, I posted it on YouTube, and I tagged him and his wife in it so she could also see it. And then I got blocked. But then, then the string of people chiming in, oh, I went to college with him. I'm not shocked because this is how he behaved back then. Several messages like that. And then even some people very close to that family reaching out saying that this specific behavior is what ended his first marriage. And so it doesn't seem like he's really repented and turned away from the behavior. He has just gotten more arrogant, more narcissistic, and now will likely figure out another way of communicating with women, not through Facebook, I'm sure.
Yep. And I want to say, Bible Time is in the house. And so Bible Time has covered this on his podcast. And I want to say Bible Time has come on board as a moderator a lot of times. And we really appreciate it. And we've been really troll free. And it has helped me realize that, I don't care as much about myself, but people come on here. There was a comment earlier. People kind of feel the same way with your program, Robyn. Like there's kind of a family that's developed, and families deserve a safe space. And so, brother, really, really appreciate it. But brother John T has talked about it. Laura Lynn has talked about it, and very, very happy about that. Can I tell the people about the recent development on this story? Okay.
I meant to actually talk about what I knew on Tuesday, and then I sort of thought better of it because I feel like his wife is a victim, and But I also know what it's like to be in that position, and you know, your husband says, "Oh, that was either I made a mistake, or they, this is all made up, or somebody hacked my account, or they what's the word,
AI or
where
something,
they,
Photoshop.
that like people can I don't know why I can't think of the word ever. My brain is just not
You
working right now. But
manufacture something, make up fake.
yes, manufacture something. And that's why I thought that it was very important to show the string, right? That
Yeah.
this was not like a one-off thing, that this had been going, on for quite some time.
Yeah. Well, we've got plenty of stuff to talk about, but we're not quite done with this subject. So I posted a video. I haven't even had time, Robyn, by the way, to respond to the privacy strike. We didn't. So I recorded a video, posted it. About 5,000 people, 6,000 people saw it, and then it got privacy removed. We'll respond to that. But I encouraged people to call phone numbers that were on the website. We didn't dox anybody's personal information. And the church where this guy is, they removed all the information from the leadership page. They did not live stream their Sunday morning service or their Wednesday service. And the last word that I had on it was, they've gotten the message. We'll see what happens. Well, we received an email that seemed to indicate that the church was just kind of pretending that it never really happened, so that the elders were just kind of joining in with Stephen and hunkering down. But we also got information that he's actually not currently credentialed with City Harvest Network, but with another group. And their support page looks like this. And Robyn, I emailed them today. And I'm going to show this very quickly. They've got quite a lot of people on their leadership page. Executive Council has Bishop Ray Boggs, and the assistant superintendent is Dr. Brent Lawless. Now, they have phone numbers that were published. But about the middle of the afternoon, I called both of those numbers and left a very polite message, and I texted them screenshots, and then I emailed. But actually, before I got the email out, and feel free to jump in anytime. I'm just relaying this information.
Sure.
I got a call from Bishop Boggs. And I got to say, Robyn, I think maybe I talked to a real man of God today. I really think that I did, because he called back right away. Mm-hmm. And he wanted to know how the information was coming. And I said, well, I've tried to text it, and I've emailed it. He said, what email did you use? And I used the one that was on the website. He said, yeah, that'll go to my secretary. And he gave me his personal Gmail address. And but he called me, and I talked to him, and he wanted to hear the facts. And I was speed talking like I am wont to do sometime, but not forever. And he assured me that it will not be brushed under the rug, that he will definitely look at it. And I sent him the video that we just saw. I sent him the screenshots. And then he said, at some point, I want to talk to Robyn. And I assured him, I said, I can fix you up with her phone number. She's not hiding. She's more than happy to talk. And then Robyn, he said this. He said, please tell her that when I call, it will be me and my wife speaking to her at the same time on the phone. And this is just my gut. This wasn't something he made up on the fly. I believe this is how this gentleman rolls. He said, because I don't talk to women on the phone by myself.
Mm-hmm. Good. Well, and that's how, you don't want to even give illusion or impression of impropriety when you're in these kinds of positions. And it's, I mean, to again, how stupid was it to send a message like this to a podcaster that's calling out corrupt pastors, especially Rod Parsley, right? But
Right.
it just didn't, it just didn't make any sense whether it was going to be a setup, whether it was for real, whether it was
Right.
a mixture of the two. But you don't behave that way. And that's likely now why his Facebook page includes his wife. And
Yeah.
I'm sure that she has access now. But again, I've been her before,
Yeah.
and he will find a way to exploit women in a different way, and she'll be the one left to try to pick up the pieces and explain it to the family.
Yeah, and my prayers, my heart goes out to his wife now, and she doesn't deserve this. The leadership doesn't deserve it. And I was able to tell Bishop Boggs, and no, Bishop Boggs, there's no relation that we know of to Denise Boggs. That's just the same last name. But that was in the comments, Robyn. And so we'll see what happens. But I will tell you honestly, I really felt like maybe I mean, I want to, and how insulting when a minister of some, he's got some importance. That's a pretty sizable group that he's superintendent of. And it's really sad that you would almost say something like, well, I hear what you're saying. I hope you mean it. I didn't come across like that, but I said, brother, I'm going to take that at face value. And I believe what you're saying. And of course, we're still watching. But I think maybe I talked to a man of God. He said, we do not brush things under the rug. And he said, I know why I'm here. I know what my job is. And so we'll see. But that'll be something that people can watch. And it was, at least for a moment, it was pretty encouraging. Okay, you ready to switch gears?
Sure.
Okay, we're going to talk about very, very, very creepy witchcraft offerings. And just, oh my gosh, it's just right on schedule. You're outed, Mr. Rod. You're outed, okay? Cult leaders are supposed to be smarter than that, but then you do have to bring in the money. But we're not ready to get there yet, Robyn. I watched your program on Tuesday, as usual, and I wasn't expecting it, but you mentioned a couple of names kind of like out of the blue. Do you mind elaborating on maybe why you did that?
Well, before I hadn't really intended on mentioning the names in the past. I have talked about what states they pastor in, and where they have churches, but I have not come right out and said their name. But I felt impressed upon, you can call it the Holy Spirit, you can call it I don't know what you want to call it. I call it the Holy Spirit, but I I felt like these names needed to be called out, not because we are trying to slander them or drag their name through the mud, but we have talked to victims of theirs and know that these things have happened. And we don't always have to show all of our cards to know that what we are saying is absolutely factual and absolutely true. And these atrocities that are happening in the name of God, or that's what they're saying, it needs to stop, especially when it's involving children. And the several of the names that I mentioned are ones that were involved in hurting children during their time at World Harvest Church, and likely other places, because usually that behavior doesn't just stop. And I felt that it was time to start calling these people out by name.
Well, there's one name that we're going to talk about a little bit. And I'll just say this. When you have been dealing with the subject matter for a long time, and certain names come up over and over and over again, and they come up from different people that don't always even know each other, and certainly don't know that they're all talking to you at the same time.
Sure.
It's kind of hard to. I mean, Robyn, what are we supposed to do? Should we just pretend that we didn't hear things that we've heard over and over again?
Well, we would be complicit and as guilty as these other people that know that it's happened, and they've done not only have they done nothing about it, but oftentimes they're being elevated into these other positions. I mean, or elevated into having their own ministry when Rod Parsley knew what these guys were doing. And the one gentleman, his wife knew what he was doing too, and it's absolutely disgusting, and I'm tired of it. And if that means that, you know, I have to come on and be the one to out them, and we have to go down that road, then that's just how it's going to be.
Well, I guess we'll let some things continue here. Here's a name that has come up with me. Well, this is not a name. Do you recognize this individual, Robyn?
I do.
Um,
Do you want me to say his name?
well, yeah, we're going to say his, and guess what? All I'm saying is,
And that's Rod Parsley's office that he's posing like that with that bearskin rug, by the way.
yeah, yeah. Now, all I'll say is, I've had an interview recorded for well over 6 months that features this fella here. And there's some things I won't say, but there's some things that I will say. And I'll say it. This guy's name is that Nathan Pearson?
That is Nathan Pearson.
Okay, well, here's one thing we know. There's Nathan Pearson posing on a bear rug, and that's just really creepy looking. And where is this setting, Robyn? You know that. You can explain to the
Oh yeah,
audience.
yeah. So this would be in the living quarters of the church. So there is a wing where my office used to be, and then you have to get additional access, which I never had, to go
Yeah.
back into executive. So although I've been back there several times, I couldn't just let myself in. Someone had to buzz me in there. I didn't just have immediate access to it. So back in executive, you have offices, but then as you continue down these hallways and to the right, the Parsleys have offices back there. So Ashton has an office, Joni has an office, which I don't know why, because she's never there, and Rod has an office. But then even back further behind that is the quarters or living quarters, which is like a full-blown apartment that Rod Parsley has. So it's got a living room, kitchen, library, bedroom, bathroom. It's it's nice. And then the executive conference room, which is where all of the executive meetings and a lot of times special guests, that's where they're going to meet. There's taxidermy everywhere. And then there's also another kitchen that is back there off of the conference room. And that's where the assistants, which are the Valor kids, have to prepare all the food, all their favorite snacks. That's where they wash all the dishes and all of that.
Okay. I'm gonna. I'll just say this. Okay. Um, it's just a photo, but that's really really creepy. And there's another photo
Ugh.
I'm going to show from an episode that I did with John Collins, but just so I don't get slides and images confused. This is the same fella, isn't it?
That's him and Rod on Rod's private jet.
This okay. It's just they're just taking pictures. Okay, fine. And then there was this one.
It is very, very, very strange. Very strange.
Yeah,
And I'm going to say this because it is what it is.
yeah,
I have spoken to at least 3 people, and 2 of the 3 people are pastors, okay,
yeah.
that went to college with Nathan Pearson there at I think it was still World Harvest Bible College at the time, and he was openly homosexual.
Yeah.
Openly. They all knew that he was homosexual. So did Rod.
Well, I don't want to confuse the audience, so please maintain your train of thought. But I have to engineer the program here, Robyn. And I'll just find this. I just want to throw this up. I'm going to go to this image. The kind of behavior that's tolerated in ministry today is just crazy. So Robyn, have you ever heard people at World Harvest ever mention the name William Branham?
Oh, yeah. Yes.
Well, Rod Parsley would say, like when he did one of those impartation services with Lester Summerall. Anyway, he considers, they teach at Valor Christian College that William Branham was a general of the faith. And here's a photo of William Branham on a hunting trip with his head laying on the crotch of one of his guys. Now, I'm old. I'm in my 60s. So I need to go to you for like objectivity, Robyn, but is that creepy?
Oh my gosh, it would be creepy really at any age except for maybe little boys, right? I mean, it's very strange that mature men would be laying on each other, period, regardless, but especially to have your head on another man's crotch. Come on.
Now, this only has one person involved, but can I just say this? I why would you have that kind of posture? I don't have a place in my brain for that. And just because I don't have objectivity and I don't want my brain to explode, is is there is there anything that kind of when you see this, do you get the same kind of vibe as when you see that?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
Cool.
It is the same kind of vibe. But I will also tell you that these environments, even though they call themselves churches, and we know that they're cults, not churches, but the environment, the atmosphere that they always want to talk about, it is hyper sexualized. And it's going on all over the place, and it's never ever addressed. Winged eternally, the guy that's in the picture on the bearskin rug, I don't know if that's who you're asking about, but his name is Nathan Pearson.
Yeah, his name is Nathan Pearson. And so I just want to say, I called Nathan Pearson. Admittedly, it was just about 20 minutes before the program. And Nathan is more than welcome to call me back, and I hope he does. And just see if he's got an explanation for this. But see, when I look at these kind of pictures, I know what Garrett went through with Rod Parsley. And I know that Parsley would parade around totally frontally nude naked, and it really messed with Garrett. And Garrett's doing very, very, very well now. But Robyn, are we allowed to say that there have been other people that have been spoken to that confirm that kind of walking around naked, giving orders when you're totally stark frontally nude naked, that wasn't a one-off? There's that behavior is documented with a number of people. Am I accurate in saying that, Robyn?
Oh, absolutely. It's documented with a number of people with Rod. It's documented with a number of people with Ashton. And I just got a message, which I'll probably include it. Thank you, Carol. I'll probably include it. I should have sent it to you. But Stephanie, who was actually on my podcast with her husband, they were, I think, maybe my third guests on the podcast.
Yeah.
When I started doing interviews, she actually just reached out to me 2 days ago, I think, and said that Ellen Parsley walked around nude in front of her. And the first time that it happened, that she felt so violated that she called her mom, and her mom was absolutely upset, but she felt that she was shocked first and foremost, but that it was just common that they would behave this way. And they do it also in front of each other. That's the other very strange part. Why are grown fathers and grown daughters walking around nude in front of each other? It does not make any sense. Or mothers with their sons.
Oh, excuse me. Sorry, folks. I just had a little visceral. It makes you want to throw up. It makes you want to throw up. I want to get off this subject, but we're not yet. That was probably a little over the top, but I wanted to get a point across. You can't take it back. You can't edit when you're going live. And I'll just say this. Whistleblowers, listen, the truth is better than keeping a secret to the grave. Now, this isn't Rod Parsley. This is William Branham with his head laying on somebody's crotch on a hunting trip. But can I just say this? Why have all these stories about hunting trips come across my desk and your desk, Robyn?
Well, that's the other thing. I wish that I could get more insight on these hunting trips, but it seems like because it's only males that are invited to these hunting trips, and it seems like the males are too traumatized to ever discuss what happened. In fact, when I worked there, a young man that was Rod's assistant went on a hunting trip, and within a couple weeks of returning, he quit. He gave a very short notice, and he was gone. And I've reached out to him, but he's also working as a youth pastor at a CHN church. So I didn't expect that he would actually talk to me. But yes, these hunting trips, all male hunting trips, are very strange, especially when you do talk to somebody that has been there and they say, I'll go to my grave with what I saw there.
Or they just disappear in the middle of the night and you never hear about them before. And by the way, I'm not advocating co-ed hunting trips, but what I'm saying is I'm not advocating creepy behavior that distorts people. I want to be done with this, Robyn.
Yeah.
Here's the best way. So let me just say, why am I sitting on an interview with a young man that is trauma? Let's just talk about creepy youth pastors. We've looked at, legalities and stuff and crossing I's and crossing T's and dotting I's and so forth. Why don't we just talk about some hypothetical youth pastor stories? Are you comfortable doing that, Robyn?
Sure.
All right, go ahead. You go first.
So hypothetical. So a hypothetical would be a youth event that was an overnight event, and a youth pastor manipulates and grooms a young boy or a young girl, and they end up I don't want to say engaging, because I would call that rape, even if the young person found themselves agreeing to something. That would be one one hypothetical.
Yeah. What about what if somebody had some harm done to them as a younger person, maybe been abused and in a SA kind of way and other ways, and that was in their younger childhood.
Yep.
But what if like they went to like youth camp, they're at camp. And at camp, they have you have night services and you have worship and you have preaching and you have an altar call. What if like at that altar service, what if a young person like opened up? I'm really struggling with this happened, I don't know what. You would think that that would be a good thing, but could something bad ever come out of that if a predator was involved?
Oh, I would say I would say yes in every way. I mean, the manipulation. So this is what it, when I think of grooming, I think of this behavior of preying on people that have past abuses, and it's a familiar spirit, right? So
Yeah.
We they get themselves in there to act like they care, they act like they're a trusted confidant, that they're going to disciple them and mentor them, and they have their best interest at heart, but they end up worming themselves in. They get all of this information and they end up using it against them. And when you've had this sort of thing happen to you before, especially at a young age, you do not, it's hard to recognize it. And you also do not know how to fight back. And you do not know how to tell someone that it happened in a reasonable amount of time,
Right.
because there's a lot of shame involved.
Yeah.
You blame yourself.
Right.
You think that, how could I be this stupid that I didn't know that this was happening to me? You are terrified to then be within a setting with these people anymore, but you don't know how to tell, and you don't know if anyone will believe you, and you don't know how to ask for help.
Well, I just want to do a little bit of like a mental exercise. I actually believe that when I look through the video of the instant message string that was perpetrated on you, I actually see signs of creepiness like from the very beginning, but you don't spot it. Like the using the really bad language. Oh, by the way, when I spoke to Bishop Boggs, that was a real concern to him. He didn't just blow that off. He wanted to know where he could see that, because I really got the feeling that's like that ain't appropriate way for ministers and Christians in general to be speaking. But I guess what I'm trying to say is you almost see like a patience in that text thread. Like that's probably where that guy was willing to go from the beginning, but he'll kind of play along and play along. So just with that in mind, the patience of a predator. All predation doesn't happen like within the first 5 minutes that a predator meets a potential prey, that they prey on them. So could this happen? And if just give me your opinion. What if a young guy was like really struggling with some stuff and really hurt inside? You go to the altar, say at a church service. Oh, I know, say like maybe a youth camp, and you're like just really in a just a broken kind of state. And what if well, let's just say a youth leader or a youth pastor comes up and is praying with that person or talking to them, and that young person is like just divulges all the stuff that's happened to them? Could that be something that even a youth pastor could like tuck away in the back of their mind, and over time use that hurt and abuse and that vulnerability in a young person as a means to worm their way into their uh, into taking advantage of them.
Yeah, and that's what predators do. And oftentimes they will even, whether it's true or not true, they will say, "Oh, that happened to me as well," to find some common ground with the young person. And this is, how I worked through it, and this is how it's all a part of the predatory grooming behavior, that they're trying to not only be the voice for the child or the person that they are grooming at the time, but they want to have as much commonality with them as they can. So oftentimes they're lying, "Oh yeah, that's my favorite movie too," or "That's my favorite food too," or "Yes, that happened to me when I was a kid," or "I had this, family dynamic and it's similar to yours." That is all a part of becoming the most trusted person in that victim's life. Because once the real abuse starts happening, you, as the victim, are so confused about, well, again, did I deserve this? I thought this person loved me and respected me and was trying to help me, and now they've done the same thing to me. It's very confusing, and you end up most of the time blaming yourself, not the actual predator.
I get it. And then, so could sometimes the person who is the actual predator, could they be playing sort of a pretend role, like that they're actually the hero? In other words,
Sure.
hmm,
Absolutely. Absolutely. And but that's their MO, because they they become so they become such masters of manipulation, and what works, what doesn't, what kind of personalities and characteristics are easier targets. I mean, they are very calculated in how they pick out their victims, and they know the ones that have already been traumatized. They know the ones that are more likely to keep their mouth shut. So yes, they know exactly what they are doing when they go and pick their victims.
okay. Oh my gosh. I'm trying to move on to the next topic, but I just thought of something. So if my thought process makes no sense, just pull us back, get us back on a firm foundation. But like, okay, you caught that potential or that predator, Mr. Hoyle, instantly. It went nowhere. He was dumb enough to mess with a tough woman of God and a podcaster, no less. But what was he trying to use? He was using like technology. He was using like messaging technology. So that would be similar to like Facebook Instant Messenger or a text message. Um, Going back to our hypothetical example, if, say, at a youth camp kind of setting, and our hypothetical young person is spilling their guts and revealing their vulnerability, and a hero figure swoops in and realizes their vulnerability, is it beyond the realm of possibility that that same, let's just make them a youth pastor in this hypothetical example, could
Mhm.
they use like technology as a way to lure this person in?
Absolutely. They know exactly, they know exactly which tactics works and which ones do not work. They know how to cover their tracks. They know, and in fact, they often encourage the victim to, delete their messages, or have a like a safe place in the phone or computer where it might possibly look like something else, but that's where they store these messages messages and these photos. I mean, they are very calculating and how they behave, and they will use whatever they need to use to keep control over the victims. And oftentimes, and I even said this with this, Stephen, had I engaged in this conversation with him, he likely would have used that to blackmail me. And oftentimes that's what you see happen in these predatory situations is there will be an exchange of messages, photos, videos, whatever the situation is, and then that's brought back on the victim. Like, if you tell on me, I'm going to publish this information, or if you say something, then I'm going to show your parents what you sent to me or what you did with me. Absolutely. It's all about control.
That is a wealth of information, Robyn, and I'm going to ask you to respond to this. This is like interesting. Buddy's mom says they use different apps for messaging too.
That's right.
What are we talking about here? Different apps.
Well, there's, I mean, I only know a couple of them, but there's WhatsApp, there's Telegram, I think, there's Snapchat. This stuff didn't exist back in the, late 90s and early 2000s, but there are so many ways to get away with stuff nowadays. It's mind blowing. And if you're not looking for that, then you wouldn't necessarily know. But even on Instagram, you can go into dark mode, meaning as soon as you send a message and the other person reads it, it deletes.
Buddy's mom.
And video game apps. Yes. I mean, that's video game apps is Roblox and some of these other, that this is how predators, they go on and they pretend like they're a 12-year-old boy when they're a 50-year-old man, and befriend these children, and then they find out their name and their address, and then they want them to meet up with them, and they continue to pretend like they're this little kid when they're a grown adult.
So just trying to think things through with our hypothetical example. So like if that were to happen, a young guy like really opens up at like an altar service, and then a predatory youth pastor would like, oh, okay, well, come in as a hero, but he's gathering the information that he can use for his predatory behavior. Mm-hmm. If I'm hearing you right, it wouldn't be beyond the realm of possibility that not only would they use technology like texting or WhatsApp or special applications or whatever, but like even apps like video games. In other words, like areas that parents. I mean, if I saw, I'm too old. My kids they're older than that. But so a kid might be, say, on a video game, and the parent thinks, okay, they're playing a video game, and you could be going down the road in a car, and you think he's on the iPad playing a video game, but something really very, very different is happening. Is that what we're saying that could happen?
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. And it's, it's a trust but verify situation. And it's not that you don't trust your children, but you can't trust other people. And so if you have to be, the helicopter parent or the super nosy parent, then that's what you have to do. And I don't make any apologies for it. My kids know that I do it. And they know I'm going to question, even if they're insinuating things that they should not be. And it's just a part of life. You have to be and even then this kind of thing can still happen because people want to believe the best about people that call themselves pastors, call themselves youth directors and ministers and even doctors. I mean, it happens all over the place. It's really hard to trust anybody.
I'm still learning all this stuff, Robyn. And I want to move on to our next and final subject, which is going to still take a little bit of time, but people said go for it. I've noticed many go for it. So let's just say in this hypothetical example that you have the young person at a youth camp, they're kind of opening up, and then you have this superhero predator type that like gets this information and then uses it against this person or whatever. And then just to stay with our completely hypothetical example, uses this technology, but it's sort of a secret, like a coded technology that maybe the parents wouldn't know about.
Sure.
Of course, the wonderful thing is when you know forensic people and people that can kind of crack into devices on stuff that's way old, and you thought it's anyway. That's that. I digress. But if that person were to find out that their victim is kind of moving away from them, what kind of behavior might that predator kind of engage in?
Well, I would think that they're going to be try to interject themselves more into the picture, even when that person is the victim is trying to pull away. They're going to interject themselves more, and oh, I miss you, and oh, I wish we could talk again, or even act like something is wrong with them to try to get sympathy from the victim. And typically, when that behavior doesn't work, that's when the more aggressive type blackmailing verbiage and behavior would start at that point to try to reel the victim back in.
Well, you're like almost describing a progression, and we really want to move on to the next subject matter. But like if a predator was concerned that maybe their victim is kind of like moving away, did you say like interject themselves? That they might.
Absolutely. So they might pop up at places that they know the victim is going to be. They might try to get an invite to where the victim is going to be. They might send more messages and emails, or hey, look at this. I found this article that you might find interesting, or remember, we talked about loving this movie. They try to find any way to keep a connection with the victim, and because of they know how wrong they are. They know that they are engaged in criminal behavior. When that behavior doesn't seem to necessarily work with the victim, then they tend to get more aggressive and try to employ different tactics to keep the victim silent, make them scared, make them want to engage back into the behavior with the perpetrator.
Yeah, I'm really trying to lay this to rest. I'm slow, Robyn. I'm just a hillbilly redneck. So but this interjecting thing, that's. By the way, you ever been to Cedar Point? Do you know where Cedar Point is?
Yeah, I've been there several times.
It's been so many years since I went to Cedar Point. Cedar Point is like awesome. I've lived in the Cincinnati area for over 20 years. I ain't never been to Kings Island. Because I just don't think I just don't think it will compare to Cedar Point. But if I were to take, when my kids were small, if I'd have taken them to Cedar Point and then somebody just showed up out of nowhere to just go, oh, hey, let's hang out for that. And you had no idea they were going to be there. That would be weird.
That would be weird.
But what if that happened at not everybody even knows what Cedar Point is, but what if you were at Dollywood or something like that? If you were just trying to get away with your family and then somebody just shows up at Dollywood, is like, hey man, haven't talked to you for since the last 2 days that I texted you. That'd be kind of weird, wouldn't it?
Yes.
Okay.
Absolutely.
I'm just thinking out loud. Okay, you want to move on to the next subject here? Let's do that. Let's do that. So let's get, okay, we're making you work hard. All right. You did, we said we'd go for broke, Robyn. Okay. I want to talk about this fundraising, but before we do that, you did this like amazing bomb interview with Wayne. And here's what I'd like to do. This might seem like kind of a change, but I've got 2 clips that I want to play from Wayne. But strange, not or just this, I want to start with this one though, because this one really touched me, and I'm just going to play it.
Into the church, and what happened for me, the way that's really changed me, is I was going through things, having a hard time, whatever going on. When 2020 happened, I just went to prayer, like in a new level of getting up and going to prayer. And as I started to pray, I was like more like warring, because that's more like at World Harvest when we all pray, everyone's like, it's more like a warring kind of a thing. And so I'm getting up and I'm doing that. And after, I don't know, it was days, weeks, whatever, but there was one day and it changed everything, because God said, hey, I'm over here. And then I started to actually learn to abide with him, talk with him, fellowship with him, and not just this warring, get this done, get this done, get this done, get this done. And little by little, he changed me dramatically, to the point that I didn't even know how much he changed. So we stayed in during the lockdown. My wife was doing home health care for a 90-plus-year-old woman, and we were pretty much the only people that she had any connection to the outside world. And we went full bore to keep her safe. And so after all this, first time I go back out in public, after this, I had taken my family into Pittsburgh to go see some of my family there. And we walked up to the south side. It's just kind of, there's a lot of shopping and people and things there. And it really blew me away, because I was experiencing for the first time the change that really had happened. Like every single person I saw, it was like I just had this deep abiding love. And like where you might just see someone who's dressed really provocatively and have thoughts about the type of person they are, that guy that's a bum and the thoughts of person he is, like all those stereotypical images that flood and make us react and not interact. Like all of that was just empathy in every direction I looked. And it was just a deep love for people. And
Robyn, out of all the bombshell information, and we're going to talk about some of it, that clip just really touched me.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and I think it touched a lot of people, because I think all of us have experienced that heart change, when we're not looking at people to judge them, or interacting with people to judge them, but it's a real love. And I think that's how God loves us. He looks at us, and we're his kids, and we're his children. And yes, he will we will know if we are doing something that we should not be doing, but that it's a deep love for people in general. And I think that's how God.
Yep. When he described that took place in his life in 2020, we're short of time, but boy, I had that exact same thing happen. I remember walking into a Menards the weekend and 2 days later, they were going to lock the state of Ohio down. And anyway, that was just so powerful. So let's do this. This one's really, 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 really short. And then we got some slides, and then everybody gets to call it a night eventually here. But this was like shocking to me. Here we go.
I never got to feel there was an impartial bias, because Pastor Parsley would even have them meet with him beforehand to like what they were going to talk about, some of that. And lo and behold, here's like, so maybe it's just like, just keep those $1 million coming, because There is absolutely record of Pastor Parsley with offshore bank accounts. There is absolutely record of him transferring money to them. I'm being very merciful.
Robyn, that was kind of a big moment.
Yes, it was. And we had heard that before from other people, but not someone that was in a position like Wayne where he actually saw the transactions happening.
Right, right.
So yeah, definitely a bombshell. And I even have to do a follow-up to that interview because he gave me so much information. I couldn't even cover everything in that one interview. So yeah.
Yeah. Offshore accounts, and you're begging. Well, we'll talk about some of the ways that this money gets begged for. But I mean, and this Wayne guy, this guy is smart. This guy is smart. And he ain't gonna say nothing that he can't back up.
Oh yeah,
And,
that's right.
and
That's
Little
right.
Rod ain't gonna sue him because Little Rod understands how Discovery works. But that was shocking. Okay, we're gonna try to. What are we looking at right here? And is that big enough for you to read that top line?
Sure.
Robyn?
Yeah, that's big enough. So, monthly, they have these BBS meetings where BBS is a Christian marketing company, and they come and tell churches and organizations how they can basically get more money out of people, and they look at a lot of statistics about which marketing tactics are working, which ones are not, what kind of verbiage they should use, what audience are they trying to go after, if they're on a certain TV station and the demographic on that TV station is a certain demographic, but it's different on another station, then they will adapt their programs to appeal to the demographics that they get the most money out of.
Right. And so let's go back here. And I think we can put this one, we can lay this to rest, and everybody gets to eat something tonight and live a normal life. But so this is from 2019, but it was from August. So it's kind of talking about the same time of the year that we're in right now. I'll just go ahead and read it. Dale, that's the president of BBS, right?
Correct. Dale
Okay.
Berkey.
He wanted to increase the perceived value of the tapestry and other products in the atonement mailing, the Atonement One
mailing, because you saw the report. There's Atonement 1, Atonement 2, and they track how much they send out, what it costs them, how much money they make off of it. Yes.
So you did that episode with Wayne. I kind of followed up on some of the information that Wayne had provided that you had sent to me. And then this was just too crazy. A viewer sent me this. This show is... Can you explain to people the significance of what they're looking at right now?
Yeah, so Wayne actually was in charge of all of this. So once they have these BBS meetings and they plan all of this stuff out, then Wayne would be the one that would get all of the copy and the marketing materials to be printed, and then it would go out to this huge list of either donors or people that had called in for prayer and they got their information. They use all kinds of tactics to get your email address, your mailing address, and your phone number, because they will hit you constantly with phone calls, with marketing material to your email and to your address.
Yeah, and this is just too crazy because here, I'll go back 2 slides. This is August of 2019, but they're getting ready for the Feast of Tabernacles and Atonement, and they're talking about how they're going to mail these people. You do this program the week or two ago, I did a little follow up, and then boom, right on schedule. Oh, look, there's my
There it
atonement
is.
offering mailer. So let's just keep this rolling. So
Oh yeah, this is the one that I got today. That is absolutely laughable. And if anyone ever gives $1,000 for this cheap replica of the Holy Land or whatever it is, and they can go on Amazon and order it for $43.99, give me a break.
okay, well, I guess I got my slides out of order. Okay, so this is what they got in the mail. Oh, and by the way, one of those mailers partially is saying the Holy Spirit instructed me to teach you very intently for 10 days. Yeah, 10 days of parsley. He wants to mail them. But anyway, so this comes in there. And then let's just blow this up. So this is his atonement offering. Robyn, is that blown up big enough? Can you see the kind of money he's asking for?
Yeah, so $1,000 or 500 in for each hand. 2,000, $1,000 in each hand, 200, $100 in each hand, or you can your best seed faith is the last box that you can check.
And one in each hand. Can I just explain to the audience what that means?
Yeah.
It means he's a cult leader and this is witchcraft.
Yeah.
That's so stupid. You're going to write a check, but half of this is a cult leader, and this should show you. They had a meeting about this, and they decided how the printing's going to look, what they're going to offer, what the trinkety-plink prize are. And Rod Parsley, you are a fraud. You are a cult leader. This is witchcraft. We are calling you out. And guess what? This is going to be the weakest witchcraft atonement offering campaign you have ever had, but you still might need to pony up some cash for some of your previous associates because they may be looking at criminal charges, but I digress. So, okay.
That holy temple. So you got a seed of faith for a double portion, okay? And the only way you can get that holy temple replica, okay, is if you send them a generous seed faith gift of at least $1,000.
And let's just
But
let
you
the
can go on Amazon and get it for $43.99. So do not waste your money. Because I am sure they're probably grabbing that same one and sending it out to everybody that sends that money.
I got to take this comment from Bernadine. Doesn't Paula White do an atonement offering? Whichever one shall I choose, Rod's or Paula's? But Bernadine, you are absolutely correct. And this is witchcraft. It's chicanery. And Paula White got ahead of this, and now Parsley's trying to copy her. But previous to that, it's all a grift.
It's the biggest grift. Everything they do is a grift.
And I've explained to my audience, and we've talked about it at least twice, that this is school fundraising 101. You buy a trinkety plink and a Watsajubi that you get for selling 5. And then when you sell 10, you get the Watsajubi plus the bonkety donk. And then this is exactly it. And Robyn, in my screen, it's really small, but it really does. It jumps up to, it explains you have to add like at least, I think, $800 to get all this final roar and all this stuff that's repackaged old garbage. But you have to spend like an extra $800 to get that model.
$43.99. That's probably $15 or less to make. Okay.
Yeah. And you know what? I apologize. We're going to wrap this up, Robyn. Thank you so much. I was going to have my parsley plane handy, the metal toy airplane that somebody unfortunately gave a ton of money when he was still flying airplanes. But I will make a promise to the audience right now. the first viewer that makes a good faith pledge of $1,000, I will send you Rod Parsley's toy metal airplane, and I'll even record a CD, and I'll even buy you a CD player, because I think my cost on that's still going to only be about $60. No, anyway, Robyn, we've covered a lot of stuff tonight. Okay, thank you so much.
That's that perceived value, right? That perceived value that Dale Berkey was talking about in that meeting.
That's exactly what it is.
Oh, yeah.
Wait, let's go to this slide. Yeah, this is exactly what it is. Dale noted he wants to increase the perceived value of the tapestry and other products in the Atonement One failing. Robyn, how do people find you? They're going to want to follow your program. A lot of people on here know you already, but you got some newcomers, so give them a warm welcome to your channel. How do they find you?
Well, you can just go on and type in Megamaniacs, hopefully, on YouTube, and I should pop up. Please subscribe, like, and if you want to email me, it's megamaniacs777@gmail.com.
Robyn, I really appreciate you. This audience appreciates you, and I know that we'll be talking soon. So go eat something. That's always a good thing to do. So, Robyn, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay. Well, ladies and gentlemen, that's the program. That is the program. I always take a little bit of time to really ask you to go and check out our brand new website, ohioforfreedom.com. If you would like to support the program, that is how we exist. We exist by the good faith support of people in the body of Christ that believe that this work needs to be done. You can go to ohioforfreedom.com, go to the donate tab, and there is a PayPal button that you can push. There is a Zelle button that you can push. Really encourage people to check into Zelle if you haven't. I did have a conversation with our webmaster today. I am not provided an email address when somebody uses Zelle, so I have to say in advance, thank you. And we have a lot of Zelle supporters. We really appreciate it. Or you can hit the bank card tab and use any card that you have, Visa, MasterCard, Discover, whatever, even American Express. I don't know if we've got an American Express yet, but it's all there. But we need your support. We appreciate your support. And there's plenty of more material that's got to be talked about. If you would like to be part of the podcast prayer team group that is going to be deployed from September 20th until, I forget the date, like the 11th. It's a 4-week consecutive period. Email us at ohioforfreedom@gmail.com. You will need to include a phone number, and we will have a team member just call you up and kind of make sure that we're all on the same page. And so until next time, God bless you. God bless your family. God bless the state of Ohio. And God bless the United States of America. Remember Charlie Kirk's family in your prayers. And thanks to all of our faithful listeners that get in touch with us from the UK to various parts of the world. We really, really appreciate it. Good night, y'all.
I hear the sweet